What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about Lucid. The market is closed today, so a lot of investors are taking the time to go through a lot of recent articles. So a lot of people have been sending me this one in particular. So it's posted by 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗡. So every Lucid Group investor should keep an eye on these two numbers. So I wanted to go over this article, what those two numbers are, and how Lucid essentially is faring with them. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So this was posted yesterday, but go over some of the key points. So Lucid is expected to grow sales aggressively in 2025 and 2026. I do agree with that. But two other key metrics are equally important for investors to track. Gross profit margin and shares outstanding will be key for returns. And this is something I've brought up in the past, more specifically shares outstanding. Everything is just a very simple formula. A lot of people overly complicate things at times, but nonetheless, it's pretty simple. So Lucid does need money. That essentially does mean dilution. Shares goes up, so shares outstanding. So at the end of the day, I know a lot of people are long-term investors, so a lot of this is just short-term noise. But for those that are kind of day traders, swing traders, or even in my videos, I often enough bring up what is happening like day to day, or potentially what might impact it for the next couple of weeks out. So dilution is a big deal in that capacity. So I do agree with that. And gross profit margin, yeah, that's just not even specific to Lucid or even just the automotive sector. That's just basic business. Profit margins is key, and even in tech, right? So ultimately, this is Lucid's financials, their income statement, all from their most recent one ending the end of March 2025, so their Q1 all the way back to September 2022. So we have gross profit and revenue. So we have everything to pretty much calculate gross profit margins. So I did simplify it, made a nice little chart right here, so you can kind of see Lucid essentially has been going the other way. So not all that great. And that is just because of, going back over here, the cost of revenue has been increasing, whereas their revenue has been relatively flat. So it's obviously, I know a lot of investors, including myself, would have anticipated it to be significantly higher, but Lucid is still, again, comparing it to 2022, 2023, it is improving, but I feel like they need to eventually put the pedal to the metal and get things done. But nonetheless, this is what the article says is a very big deal for Lucid, bigger picture. So I do agree, gross profit margin is something that needs to be really looked at. They did make some pretty good improvements. They laid off a lot of staff. They did kind of localize a lot of, that was, I believe it was in Q4, they did localize a lot of their supply agreements. So I think that was kind of a good attributing factor. But nonetheless, this is something to keep in mind. So Lucid right now, if you are following this article, it's that one I would say is a little bit of a miss. So in this article, and same thing as what 𝗪𝗧𝗪 did bring up, a lot of these articles, in my opinion, are, not to say clickbait, but a lot of them are essentially clickbait. They like to give a lot of hope. And hopefully a lot of you do follow my channel and like my videos, because I, yes, am a Lucid investor, but I don't give you any BS. What I do invest versus what I say in my videos are not correlated. I am not biased. If I see something crappy with Lucid, I'm going to say it. If I see something optimistic, I'm going to say it. So their gross profit margin, I think that there's a lot of room for improvement, and this is going to be something that does get affected also quite significantly by the tariffs. We have not really seen that. This upcoming Q2 earnings, which will be probably in roughly like a month and a half from now, that one will be a key earnings to really watch for, because the tariffs with Canada and Mexico are going to really impact Lucid. I believe that last CFO, couldn't remember his name at the top of my head right now, but he did state that those tariffs, which are still on the table, they didn't get knocked off or anything. There was a temporary pause, but those are going to impact Lucid roughly 10 to 15%, their margins. So again, I think Lucid is going kind of the other way, and so it does need to really get their ass in gear to really improve this. Aside from that, the other thing that they do bring up is shares outstanding. Very few companies, their shares outstanding actually go down unless they do buybacks. But as you can kind of see from here, so this goes over all of their stuff. So this is their balance sheet. Currently, the shares outstanding is 3.05 billion. On a side note, their authorized is 15 billion. So you can kind of see authorized as the cap, shares outstanding is where they're sitting at. So ultimately 3.05 billion. It does show the last 5 quarters. So last 5 quarters. So ultimately March, end of March 2024, you did have it at 2.31 billion. So they are diluting quite significantly, as what Peter has mentioned many times, and what he did always like to bring up during the fireside chats is that they are in a capital intensive business. I think that's the way he always worded it. Even most recently on Lucid, they did submit, I believe it was that S3, if I remember correctly. And that one is right here. They did, the S8, they did register 400 million new shares. So they are diluting quite a lot. So that essentially, again, based on just the key metrics, is going to impact the stock price. And that right here, this S8, was just for the employee benefit plan. I did state at the end of most likely end of Q3 going into Q4, they're going to need another $2 to $2.5 billion worth. So that does equate to more dilution. So going back over to this article, I do agree that these are 2 key metrics. In here, they're kind of portraying it as how Lucid is improving in both of those. But as of right now, Lucid, the profit margins aren't really going down, a lot of which isn't really particular to Lucid specific stuff. A lot of macro conditions causing Lucid to get hurt. And then the shares outstanding, I think up until 2027, most likely is going to continue to go up, or possibly even 2028. But I do agree that Lucid is going to really kick ass in the second half of 2025 and also 2026. They just also need to, at the same time, keep a lot of their expenses down. That way they can kind of offset the hit that they're going to take from the tariffs. So again, 3 or 4 people sent me this article, and I wanted to just essentially bring this up, what those 2 numbers mean, how that's really impacting, and what is currently looking like for Lucid. So again, moral of the story, this is just all short-term stuff. If you do believe in Lucid, then obviously take advantage of these prices. Comparing it to even Tesla back in the day, Tesla's margins were horrific. It didn't improve up until, was it 2018, 2019? So it does take time. Sometimes it takes several years or even a decade for a lot of their kind of financials to improve. So again, it all depends on your time frame. So if you are looking for Lucid to not raise their outstanding shares or anything, then unfortunately you're probably investing in Lucid in the wrong time, because they are going to need a lot of capital. Most likely, I do estimate, this is just me, although I've been fairly accurate on those predictions with Lucid, but I do feel that even prior to the midsize being launched, they're going to need probably like another $7 billion worth of dilution, unless they do go kind of the Rivian route where they go the green bonds. But yeah, I think as of right now, Lucid is making improvements. Just watch for these very closely. So let me know your viewpoint. Hopefully everyone is doing a lot of good research today on a lot of their investments. What is your general thoughts on Lucid? What's your viewpoint on the broader market? Let me know your thoughts. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon and give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.